This video probably won't reach you. And honestly, it's a bit demoralizing. Working against an algorithm that doesn't like it when people notice things, pattern recognition. And then those same people go on to share those things with other people. An algorithm that's accelerating people into small boxes of ideologies in order to keep them divided and unable to collectively come to the same awareness. And to be honest, and this is the conclusion that I've come to, but have you noticed it? This trend of people, funnily enough, becoming uncensored when it comes to certain topics. People like Nick Fuentes seemingly being replatformed. Old conspiracy channels having their bans lifted. Talks about the Jews, about Israel, Zionism, the Epstein files. Hell, people are still coming up with conspiracy theories on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Stuff that would have had you automatically flagged and dealt with not too long ago, but currently allowed to exist. Say whatever they want. Granted, they're still heavily censored, but you don't see this full-on misinformation war. Not like what you would have seen during the lockdowns, when people were speaking out against the vaccines. And what I'm getting at is this. I think these social media algorithms are quietly building our social credit scores. Not letting us go viral per se, but gathering a database on those of us that will later be deemed problematic to the system. Honestly, I'm starting to think that this whole Israel rules the world narrative that's been conveniently trending lately is just a smokescreen to hide what's really going on behind the scenes. I think that Israel has outlived their use to direct our attention away from the financial industrial complex. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. All these bankers actively hollowing out our country from within and using our own money to pump into this digital prison. But we're supposed to believe that AIPAC managing a little over $50 million in political spending is somehow in control of our entire government? All the mainstream media in Hollywood, when companies like BlackRock manage over $13 trillion in assets? Maybe that's the reason why Netanyahu just said he wants to stop U.S. aid to Israel. Maybe that's the reason why anti-Zionism is able to flourish on social media right now. Why Trump is interviewing BlackRock's chief bond investment manager as a potential candidate to lead the Federal Reserve. And then you have all this civil unrest going on between ICE and the protesters. All the while, Secretary Kristi Noem is talking about how drones represent the new frontier of American air superiority, protecting our borders and the interior of the United States. You really think they want to secure the borders and cripple cartels? Protect our infrastructure and all that? Check this out right here, and I want to highlight this specifically. To protect our infrastructure and keep Americans safe as they attend festivities and events during a historical year of America's 250th birthday in FIFA 2026. Now this right here is The Economist, the World Ahead 2026 cover. And if you've been following tinfoil hat wearing batshit crazy conspiracy theorists like me, you've probably seen this cover quite a few times. You got your fist with the handcuffs above the birthday cake. I've been seeing this image a lot lately. You got your stock market crashing with the 2 pennies. I wonder if that has anything to do with the pennies no longer being produced anymore. This magazine cover seems to hold a lot of coincidences. And we're barely into 2026. You got what looks like the Blue Origin rocket. I wonder if that has anything to do with the fake landings, that little island in between Canada and Greenland in particular. Little bit of Martian colonization going on. Then you have what looks to be a cargo ship shooting at the United States' 250th birthday. I wonder if that has anything to do with the recent sightings of Chinese cargo ships being fitted with modular missiles. Get out and vote! You don't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. Does anybody remember that? Right next to the cracked dollar sign, the cracked gavel. Say goodbye to freedom of speech and the Constitution overall, if we're reading this correctly. And here's a weird one, a controller connected to a brain. Anyone hear about how Elon Musk plans to push Neuralink brain implants into mass production this year? What I'm trying to say is that everything that's going on right now was planned ahead of time. And it's order out of chaos. The problem, reaction, solution. And why, if you start noticing these things, if you break free from the chokehold of the left-right paradigm and legacy media constantly dropping information bombs on you, when you realize that they're the tail that wags the dog, you can break free from the spell that's been cast on you. And really, I don't think it's too late. I think there's still time for us to wake up and refuse to give our consent, because that's what they need. They need our consent. Otherwise, they would just, drop nukes on us, right? But back to this tweet here from Kristi Noem. A little under a week ago, talking about all these drones and ending it with a historic year of America's 250th birthday and FIFA 26. Wow, would you look at that? Look at all these drones around the world. And pay attention to this because this is important. Look at this soccer player. Looks like he's kicking the earth. And then you have all these pictures of ICE, and you can interpret that in different ways, but I've been hearing a lot about ICE on the news. And just to add to that, this little robot here standing next to the two boxers kind of looks like the Boston Dynamics new Atlas robot. I'll throw a picture of that up, but your future dystopia has been planned for you. None of this is coincidence. The Big G in Gaza was a beta test run for Palantir. The digital ID in the UK, it was another test run. Here's one they don't want to tell you, but it's about Venezuela. It was a testing ground for AI-driven warfare. You think it was just about regime change in the oil? No, they were taking advantage of the economic collapse in Venezuela to incentivize the population to train AI models for automated targeting and surveillance infrastructure. AI models from Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Elon Musk's xAI. Desperate Venezuelan people who can barely afford groceries were being paid 10 times their normal wages to be ghost workers for the US military. All this training data is coming back home to the United States of America. To 1984 your ass into submission once every single asset has been stripped. The same drones used by Palantir and funded by Larry Ellison in Israel are going to be the same drones in our streets flying over our heads. And they're using ICE officers right now to create civil unrest to use that as an excuse for the expansion of AI surveillance, which is already happening with flock cameras, all your smart devices, your Ring cameras, your phones. It's just about to get a lot worse. And this new 6G technology, it's not just to give you faster internet connection. Remember when Trump said, "So what does this do? Give you a deeper view into somebody's skin?" What was he talking about, huh? No, this Wi-Fi, if you're in the radius of it, it'll be able to make a complete 3D reconstruction of your body, including facial recognition, as well as being able to monitor your heart rate. They don't even need cameras anymore to be able to see everything you do 24/7. And don't forget about Palantir. You remember what the CEO of this company said about their dedication to the service of the West in the United States of America, about scarring their enemies and on occasion killing them? Yeah, they were talking about you if you get out of line. If you thought ICE pepper spraying protesters was bad, wait until Alex Karp starts spraying people with fentanyl-laced piss. Robots are still going to replace your jobs. Billions of dollars in U.S. taxpayer money is going to these oil companies to set up operations in Venezuela. And while you're damn near starving to death because you can't afford food anymore, who's going to be benefiting from all of this? Mr. Fink, the hoodwink, tokenization of all financial assets, and Rick Ryder sitting on the throne of the Federal Reserve. Because the financial industrial complex has been funding the surveillance companies all along. Because all these corporations, these industries, even entire governments are in the palm of their hands. While you could barely afford presents for Christmas, they were the burglars coming to your house through your chimney. And while you were inside your house watching fireworks on your phone, 80% of the entire world's wealth was on St. Barth's in their mega yachts, celebrating like kings and queens. And the worst part is, you won't even see this video, and if you do, you'll just label somebody like me a conspiracy theorist. Because you're in the bubble that thinks that the Jews rule the world. You know, even though Netanyahu is nothing more than a managerial asset, just like President Donald Trump. Or you're in the bubble that thinks it's the Muslims, or maybe it's liberal white women that are destroying society. Stuck in the left-right paradigm, stuck in the propaganda of legacy media, thinking that we're in a trade war with China when they don't really give a fuck about us. They're doing their own thing. Thinking that all of this military spending is being done in the name of national security. But think about it. If we have to build all this defense, but we have to destroy society in order to do it, then who are we really protecting? Because to me, it doesn't seem like the American people. I don't feel any safer. Do you?